Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be doing something called Guess the Elo, but for Atomic Chess, and this is inspired by the Guess the Elo series by GothamChess, and the premise of this kind of Guess the Elo is basically I'm going to be given a random game, and based on that game, I'm going to try to guess the elo of the two players that are playing. So I don't know who the players are. I don't know what their strengths are, but based on the one game that I see and based on the moves that they play within that game, I'm going to try to determine what their strengths are. And then at the end, we're going to see like how close my guess was. Um, so I have downloaded l- the previous month's atomic games, all the atomic games that were played on lichess played in the previous month, which is July 2024. And all I'm going to do is that I'm going to run this script, which will pull out a couple random games that we can do guest elo with for today's video. And you may be wondering, like, who am I, right? Why am I doing this in the first place? Like, who even am I to do this? Well, I'm actually a 2200 atomic player, which puts me comfortably in like top 50, top 40 kind of area. Uh, and my peak is 2244, which is about 2250, right? So that's actually around top 30. I peaked at around top 30. Usually I'm around top 50 kind of level. Uh, but given my strength as an atomic player, hopefully I can give some insights on how to you know, on the different ideas of atomic chess throughout this video as I analyze these different random games. Uh, so how this is gonna work is that I'm gonna go in the analysis board of lichess with the atomic chess, and I'm gonna first of all I'm gonna turn off the engine. Okay, let me just reload this so that I don't get anything here. Um, and also usually there's a lichess database, and I'm gonna turn that off as well because it actually shows the recent games, and if you play a couple of moves, the list of moves like grows shorter. Like if I just like play a couple of theory lines here, I guess, um, d4, and you can kind of tell that the list is like slowly getting shorter. Oh, I missed the move. Okay, the thing is, as you get further and further into like theory lines, um, it will slowly decrease like the amount of moves here, and if there's only like a couple of moves that are available, you can actually see like the top games here. Like you can probably at some point it's gonna show the answer. So that's what I meant to say. So I'm just gonna turn that off as well, so that nothing really shows. This is gonna be my completely my own analysis. And even though I'm like a pretty strong player at 2200, I'm not like a perfect, right? I'm not like a perfect player, or else I'm gonna be rated much higher. So I might make some mistakes in my analysis here and there, but that's part of the learning process. So hopefully I just try to do my best analysis of what I see. And let me see if my script is done yet. Okay, so it's not fully done yet, but uh, basically, based on the games, I'm probably gonna do three or four, based on how long I take to analyze these games. My script is gonna generate 10 games, but I'm probably only gonna do like three or four games based on how long I take to analyze each of these games. Because I might have a lot of things to say about some of these games, or maybe I don't have much to say. It's hard to tell. But I've filtered it based on a couple criteria. And one of the criteria is like this line right here, which will filter such that all the games will be at least 10 moves. Um, and also filtered it based on some other criteria as well to, speed up the process. But anyways, it looks like my script is done running, and we can just jump straight into the first game. Okay, so this looks like a kind of a short game, but not too short. But let's just see what we got here. Knight f3 b. Okay. Immediately I can tell this is low rated. I mean, who plays b5 here? Um, this just blunders mate, obviously, because just here forks these two pawns, and you can't stop the checkmate threat from both of these pawns. So this must be a very low rated game, and they play e4. Yikes. Okay, so this must be super low rated players. I'm already getting like less than 1,000 rated like players here. Like that's the vibe I'm getting. These players are less than 1,000 rated. B4, he's still blundering the same mate. I mean, it's still here. C3, I feel like these guys don't really know what they're doing. Like, there's not much to analyze here because they don't know what they're doing. They're just black is blundering mate in two, and white is not going for the mate. So there's not much to analyze here. C3, again, there's just 95. Bishop a6. Okay, so now white actually has to respond to this, but probably just this move, and white is completely winning. After they block, they're still 95. So yeah, obviously the move for black, instead of playing b4, um, I think e5 is the only way to survive here. Let me think. Yeah, I think e5 is the only way to survive here because if they play something like f6, you can still sack your knight here, and you can actually get your queen in like this. So this is a very like kind of um, common idea to get the queen in by sacking the knight. Um, and if you don't, many beginners fall for these kind of traps where the queen, they first of all, the knight gets sacked, and then the queen swings around. If it's white's perspective, we have queen h5. If it's black's perspective, we have queen h4, and then queen h5, and then queen d5 forks these two. Um, there's too many weaknesses, right? Because you have to address this checkmate threat, but then you go here, king goes here, you blow it up, and you win. So yeah, already it's looking very bad for black, but white is not capitalizing on it because they're like a lower rated player. But anyways, b4, c3, bishop a6, bishop takes. Okay, so again, there's bishop b5, right? So as I said before. But anyways, f5. Okay, you can still go 95 actually. Now this is not exactly a fork, but the idea behind this is that they push, you go here, and now the bishop cannot escape, right? The you can just pre-move taking on f8, and the king will explode along with it because the bishop cannot like get out either way. So, and obviously if you take, we have the same opening trap as before, queen h5, and then here, right? So this is the idea to look out for. Like you have to look out for these kind of ideas by your opponent and actively try to defend against them. Um, so yeah, takes f5. White still has mate. Queen a4 is played. Okay, they're going for the attack, I guess. c6. Okay, defend against the mate threat. Now I don't think white has mate anymore, but I think they're still winning after like knight g5. I think knight g5 is still a very good move. Um, I guess if they go h6, you'll probably go here and trade it off, and you'll be up a rook. So that I think that's pretty good for white. But instead they play. Oh my God. So I guess white forgot it was atomic or something. Even though they just played queen a4 and decided to take this pawn because like oh it's too far advanced, I guess. But I actually don't really know the reasoning for this move. I could not explain it to you at all. But okay, anyways, now black is just up entire queen, because white decided to just blow up their own queen. Um, okay, reasonable. Just blow up both the knight and the pawn. So now white is down a queen and a knight. Essentially. D4. I think black literally just has mate here. I'd probably go like queen a5 here. Oh yeah, obviously. Oh, but then they can castle. Okay, black probably has mate somewhere. I'm not gonna lie. Ah, here. And then here, and then here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, they play e5. Okay, I don't. Again, there was mate, but this kind of just opens up the queen, I guess. So he's going for this kind of mate. Bishop g5. Whoa. Just queen a5. No, wait. Queen a5 is not that good, actually. Wait, let me think about this. Queen a5 here. The thing is, like, there's always the threat of bishop b7. This is another idea that to watch out for. Is this bishop, if you have an undeveloped bishop, like this, like the bishop next to your king is undeveloped, you can fall for traps like this. So, for example, if black were to now go for like some kind of mate, white can go for a counterattack like this, and actually it's actually just checkmate because um, black obviously cannot take this bishop because it's next to the opponent's king, and the king cannot escape anywhere away from white's threat of taking this bishop. So essentially, black would be um, in for some trouble there. Like they would be checkmated essentially. So I guess it was okay to take there. Um, I don't know if they actually saw that or they're like, "Ooh, I'll just take the free bishop." Yeah, but it's not actually free because it's atomic, not standard. But anyways, let's move on. White plays d takes. Okay, I don't know if you want to be opening up the position when you're that low on material. Maybe you can get a rook infiltration. That's what white. The only white what am I saying? The only hope that white has left is to get a rook infiltration. So I guess that's what they're going for. Bishop b4, knight c3, sure. Knight a6, castles, sure. Bishop takes c3. Oh my god. Just castle, man. Just castle. You have to you have to be aware of potential counter play, like counter threats, you know? Look, black's king is completely exposed. I don't even know what black's reasoning was to take. Like maybe they thought they were gonna get in with the knight the after they took white's knight, but like white has a counter threat, which is yeah. See, okay, white played it. Rook fe1 check. King f7, and in this at this point, white should have an easy win. Okay, just takes, but okay, okay. I mean, white should still be winning this. Okay, I think you had to go play here. Um, because here, I think it's still fine actually. White still wins this, but this is a common pattern to see, right? Where there's a rook, a king, and a pawn or piece lined up like that, just like in a row, and they're all adjacent to each other in a line. In this case, you can pre-move taking the piece or pawn that is behind the king. So in this case, you can pre-move taking on g7 because that's always checkmate, guaranteed no matter what. Anyways, okay, so that's gonna be checkmate. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about this. I mean, they're both like 1,000 rated, I guess. Honestly, for low rated players, it's really hard to tell the difference because they all play kind of bad. Like it's hard to tell the nuances between if they're like 1,500 or 1,100, because they all play about the same. And also the fact that if you're like a new player, you'd also be around 1,500. Like when you make an account, you're 1,500 in all variants. So kind of hard to tell. I'm gonna say the fact that black doesn't even spot the mate and then white doesn't spot the mate makes me think that they're both like 1,000 rated. So I'm just gonna go 1,000 rated. I don't really know. Honestly, white could be like a new player. If white is a new player, they're like 1,500. Okay, I'm just gonna go 1,000 for both. Wow. Okay, so they're super low rated. 700 versus a 900. Okay, well, I mean, we're kind of close with 1,000, but yeah, this kind of expected because they were playing quite badly. So now we're just gonna move on to the next game. I'm gonna reload to clear the board, and we're gonna pull up the next game here. Okay, the next game we have here looks to be a bit longer at 26 moves, so maybe we'll get a much more competitive game than the last one, or like more accurate, I would say. But anyway, let's see. Now 3 f6, knight c3. Okay, so this is a classic two knights opening. Looks like these two know their theory. Whoa. Okay, I don't want to speak too soon, but knight g6 is not theory here. Okay, the theory move here is to either play g5 or e5 here. Those are the two main theory moves here. Knight g6 is very, very uncommon. In fact, I know it's uncommon because I play this opening. I play knight g6 here. So I'm kind of thinking like I might have just stumbled upon my own game here. Like I don't even know. I might have just stumbled upon my own game. I'm not too sure. I'm just gonna have to look to find out. But looks like both white and black know their theory well so far. Black is doing perfect theory. And even here, it looks like black knew what they were doing because this is actually the correct follow-up. H takes g6, h4, bishop h2, and then rook takes h2. That is the best line for black to go into. And then g5, h5. Now I've analyzed this line now. I used to play h5 here, but I don't exactly what the remember. I don't exactly remember what the move is. H5 is actually kind of losing for white. I remember because they can cancel. Yeah. Okay. F3. Man, this looks like okay. Takes normal. F h6, h7. This okay. And then we go here, swing around here. Sure. Whoa. Okay. I mean, maybe knight b5 would would be better here. I don't know because then you would have to take, and then we can maybe there's some queen infiltration here, queen a6. But hmm, I went there instead. Knight a4. Bishop takes. Okay, sure. Takes queen a8. I trade that off. Um, okay, and takes, and they get a rook infiltration. Okay. Okay, I don't recognize this game actually. I might have played this, but I might have not because other people do play this knight g6 kind of move. Um, I was getting very excited for a second when I saw knight g6 because not a lot of people play that. At least I don't know that many people who play that. Because it's not theory. Um, okay, and then we just take here and we blunder mate in one. Whoa, this looks like a bullet. This kind of looks like a bullet game. Yo, this could be a bullet game on my alt account like Zerk2N against Nova Star. I kind of have a feeling that is. I mean, I felt like I kind of recognize this, but at the same time, I don't really because Nova Star said he did study some of my lines, and I do play this on my alt account too. So basically, I just go on my alt account and then berserk in like 1+0 arenas. Um, so that's why it looks like they're making very frantic moves at the end. Um, yeah, wait. If that's the case, that would be a 1900 versus a 2200. Was he 2200 at this time? Maybe 2100. 1900 versus 2100. Wait, I could actually go for that. It could be like my Zerk 2N alt account, like Zerk 2N playing as white and Nova Star playing as black. Yeah, because these look like very like pre-moved kind of moves. If I'm wrong, then I thought I did recognize this game, but if I'm wrong, then so be it. But I really do feel like this is like a 1+0 game where I zerked. I like Berserk. Basically, what Berserk is that if you're not familiar with like how lichess tournaments work, Berserk is where you cut your time in half and you remove all your increment. But if you win, you get like 1 extra point. Um, but anyways, I'm gonna say 1900 versus 2100. 1900 white versus 2100 black. Oh, whoa. Dang, I thought I recognized this, but it's not me. Whoa, this random 1700 plays this line too. Wait, that's actually kind of insane. I thought I recognized it, but on hindsight, I'm like, because I played this line because I know. Okay, I used to got Nova Star correct, right? So he's like 2200. Um, but which I got off. I thought he was sometimes he's 2100, like he's high 2100, sometimes he's low 2200. So it was kind of hard to tell. But uh, dang, so it was not 1900, it was a 1600 or like 1700. I'll say this is 1700. Because I really thought I was playing on my alt account, like a 1+0 kind of situation. I actually played a couple of times against Nova Star on my alt account where I zerked in a 1+0 arena. And I sincerely thought that I really thought that I recognized this game. That's why I went with 1900. But yeah, the quality of the game, H5. I mean, I played H5 before too, so I really thought it was me. But anyways, man, at least I got one of the players correct, Nova Star. But man, that was a very interesting game. I mean, honestly, it was just like Um, I was just kind of guessing based on like the opening, like how they played like this knight g6 move. My entire guess was based on like these couple of moves. That's about it. Um, and how well black was playing. Um, but yeah, I mean that was a pretty good guess. Not like perfect because I thought white was someone else. But anyways, let's move on to the next game. That was a very interesting game that we just witnessed. Let me just clear the board. And I think there's going to be the last game that we're going to analyze for this video. So without further ado, let's just get on with the next game. I think I'm going to choose a longer game to analyze for the last one. I don't want it to be too short. So this one looks pretty not long at 49 moves. So let's just jump straight into it. Okay, they start with e4. This is not like my favorite. I mean, this is not really like opening that I would say is that good. Um, I mean, it's playable, but there are better openings out there, so I don't really know what this would suggest about the rating so far. But e4 is definitely not a move that's that common at a high level, so um, that's at least like a, a small indication of the rating level, I guess. D5. Okay, so I think this looks like black knows what they're doing. D5 is one of the valid responses against e4. Um, there's also like knight f6. Um, yeah, I think knight f6. I can't remember. Oh yeah, yeah. There's also e6. Um, yeah, so there's e6, knight f6, or d5. These are all playable. I usually play d5 against e4, so um, this is perfectly a-okay with me. So either black knows what they're doing or they play standard and they like to play the Scandinavian defense. I think it's called Scandinavian. Yeah, yeah. This should be the Scandinavian defense in standard. Maybe they're just like, oh, I like that opening in standard. I'll play it in atomic chess too. But um, in fact, if white were to accept this pawn, like capture it, black would just immediately win. is actually pretty effective against really low rated opponents. A lot of low rated opponents play e4. I play d5 and they'll just take it. You can literally just pre-move taking d2 in the like the off chance that they take this pawn, and a lot of low rated opponents will fall for it. And another thing that low rated opponents do very often is that they don't realize that um, okay, so the black pawn is attacking this white pawn, right? So if the black pawn were to take this, all the squares adjacent to it would also be exploded. And a lot of uh, beginners do not realize this, and they bring their queen out like queen f3, like attacking this pawn. Their intention is to threaten this pawn, but obviously you can just take, and it'll blow up the queen. And similarly, it may look like white has mate or something like that, or like can win a lot of material, and they'll go something like this, and that also loses because of the same move, d takes e4, exploding the queen and the pawn. So yeah, so d5 is perfectly valid because it blocks a lot of the queen threats that white would have. And one last thing that I wanted to mention with this e4 move is that if black plays e5, white actually has a mate. So one of the most common openings in standard chess, e4, e5, actually gives mate to white. And it's due to queen h5. They have to block the checkmate by explosion threat, so they play g6. Now queen h3 is played. Move your queen all the way back, threatening this pawn over here. And the only way to kind of delay the inevitable is to play f5, after which you would take, and this threat still is present after you take. So the only move to stop this, or delay it, I guess, is play king f7, and you play check here, here, and mate. Um, and if you move the pawn like this is checkmate. So yeah, that is a trap I just wanted to mention. Don't play e5 against e4. Even if you play in standard, you might be inclined to play e5 here, but don't do it. Um, I don't know what I would suggest against e5, but e4, but I guess d5 is a valid option. I know the engine suggests knight f6, but I usually play d5 because it gives more dynamic positions. But anyways, let's carry on with the game. Enough with the theory. Knight c3. I think this is theory. Yeah, I've seen this before. b5. Okay, black looks like they know what they're doing. d4. Okay, white looks like they know what they're doing as well. Um, and e6. Mm, honestly, I would have gone like e5 here, but I guess black wanted to play it safe and didn't really want to open up the position too much, so they played e6 instead of e5. But honestly, I think, yeah, e6 is fine. Maybe there's some ideas of e5. I don't know. Um, oh yeah, one trap I wanted to mention here, I guess it's a bit of a trap, is that bishop h6. Um, and if black mistakenly like takes, if black takes the bishop with the pawn, then that's actually a huge blunder because of queen h5, king d7. Um, there must be some kind of mate here. I don't see it. Maybe like queen g4. That doesn't look that convincing actually. Um, okay, I think white is obviously winning here, but it's hard to say. Oh, like queen h3, right? Like maybe like this and takes. Yeah, this looks completely winning. Um, but yeah, this is just a trap I wanted to mention with this bishop h6 idea. Um, you have to take with the knight. So it's not necessarily that good of a move, bishop a6, because you're just trading off the bishop for the knight for like no reason. But um, it's still something I wanted to mention. It's an idea in many positions to do like bishop h6 when you have like both the
e and the d pawn like pushed like this, and um, usually a situation, usually bishop h6 is good when one of these two pieces is like gone, like I mean not on the home square. So maybe if the bishop was like developed somewhere, then bishop h6 would be a good move. Um, because then if the knight were to take, it's actually kind of hard to picture this, but let's just say they make some random moves. These are obviously not good moves, but I just wanted to show the idea here. Um, just that you can play bishop h6 now, and this would be devastating because if you take with a knight, there'd still be okay. Actually, there won't be mate because of queen h4, but you get the idea. Sometimes this idea to infiltrating with the queen is actually very powerful, but in this case, black has queen h4 to do a counterattack, but usually it's in some lines, bishop h6 is actually a real threat. Um, so that's why uh, sometimes you would play, black would play knight h6 like preemptively to prevent bishop h6, just play knight h6 to occupy that square, um, and also develop a knight for free. Oh, whoops, accidentally clicked here. Like knight h6, um, and black is in good shape because they develop a knight. White has to defend it or something like h3, and I think black can now play e5 or something like that, and this looks pretty good for black. But anyways, e6 is played, e5. Okay, white kind of takes some space. Now knight h6 is played. Um, okay, one thing I wanted to mention is that um, if you develop the knight towards the center, like you might think like you want to develop the knight towards the center, but there's actually this pin that's actually pretty strong. And this is a pin because if the knight moves out of the way, you have checkmate by explosion. This is actually pretty strong um, because now white has some ideas of e5 and then knight f3 and then trying to come into the position like this. And it could get pretty messy if black doesn't defend well, but that's usually why sometimes in atomic you see people developing their knight to the side, even though it may not be that good in standard chess. In atomic, it's usually a pretty common idea to develop your knights to the side in order to avoid pins. So anyways, e6, e5, knight h6, bishop g5. I think it's like bishop g5, now you're committed to trading off the bishop, because after f6, the only real good move here is to trade off the bishop. Um, so I guess white wanted to induce um, the push of the f pawn, maybe to weaken, maybe they thought it would weaken black's structure or something, but honestly, I don't think bishop g5 is that good of a move. I would have played like h3, um, and then maybe gone for like f4 or maybe some kind of structure like that, or maybe even a4, like after h3, black might want to play like f5 or something like that. Oh no, not f5. F5 is not a good move. Um, okay, g6 maybe, and then you can play like a4, and this I think this would be fine for white. But anyways, bishop g5 I don't think is that good of a move. I definitely would not play this move because now you're committing yourself to take the knight. So let's see what happens. f6 and it takes. Okay, yeah. g6. Okay, very solid. White black is playing very solid, preventing any ideas of queen h5 in the future by playing g6. Um, honestly, I don't think they had to play g6 at this point. There's this idea of a pawn break c5, and the idea is that, okay, first of all, um, black is threatening to do like take on d4, right? C takes d4, which would blow up the knight in the process, right? And the thing is, if white were to take, d takes c5, now black has an absolutely monstrous d pawn, right? It can like absolutely run down the board. and it will be very hard to stop this pawn from advancing all the way to the down the board. And this could be like devastating for white. So I think c5 here immediately would have been very, very good. I think white at this point has to sack their knight. I don't see any other option that would be good for white, and then after takes, and then maybe like solidify the position like this, maybe. No, don't do that because it weakens. Maybe like c3. Um, and now you're threatening this, but the point is, um, you're threatening a pawn break basically. And this idea to attack the d pawn, to attack the knight, is very powerful, and white has to address it, or else they're gonna lose, right? Um, but instead, black plays g6, very solid, but I think it's a bit too passive for what the position calls for. I don't know if c5 is the best move, but positionally it seems very, very good. So um, I would have definitely played c5 here instead of g6, but g6 is also a very solid move. Um, Black just wants to prevent any queen h5 ideas, and now the bishop does not have to be. The bishop can leave the square because if in this position right now, right, if the bishop were to leave this square, now suddenly you have queen h5, g6, and then queen h6. So maybe black wanted to give some freedom for the bishop to move. So yeah, I understand this move, but I think the position calls for more like direct attack. But anyways, g6, knight h3, white is just developing. This is, you can tell this is a very common idea to develop your knight to the side, as I mentioned earlier. Um, but anyways, bishop h6. Okay, so black is planning to castle here, and white can now just like bring their knight in and trade off the bishop. But um, maybe this is fine because black wants to castle anyways. And now with the g6 pawn pushed, it's safe to castle. If you imagine the g pawn was on g7, I don't think it would not be safe to castle. So, anyways, bishop h6, g5, knight g5, bishop takes. Okay, g3. I feel like that's a bit of a passive move. I guess uh, white didn't want to allow any ideas of queen h4 down in the future. So he played g3, and maybe they plan on playing bishop h3 or bishop g2, being cut on the bishop, um, and then castling. That seems to be a very solid plan. But at this point, I probably would play like a4, trying to do something on the flank. Maybe try to like set up like some like attack here. Um, but anyways, g3 is played, h6. Okay, being very, very solid. Now black is very ready to castle, I guess. Honestly, I would still play c5 here. To be completely honest, it seems like a very, very strong move. But okay, I can understand h6 to like prepare to castle, even though there's not an immediate threat on h6. But anyways, f3. What? Yeah, I don't really see the point of h3. I'm not gonna lie. At this point, I'd play a4. As I said before, a4 seems very strong. But then a4 c5 seems a bit dangerous actually. So I don't know if I would play a4. Um, this idea of c5 is always like very dangerous for white, and white always needs to like look out for that. But black, I don't think black sees it because they're not going for c5. But anyways, f3 just seems rather passive. Um, I don't think it does much, to be honest. In fact, it actually just closes your own like queen, like from its line of vision, which may be useful in the future. If you were going to push the f pawn, you probably should have just pushed the f4, to be honest, um, to start a pawn break on these pawns, because right now these pawns are very solid. protects the king from any potential queen infiltrations. But with f4, g4, and h4 all incoming, you can quickly break down the structure if white wanted to. But anyways, f3 was played. Now black castles after seeing that their pawn structure is completely safe. Um, black's king is completely secure for now. H4. So now after seeing black castling, white wants to create an attack here, I guess, and create a pawn break here and try to um, destroy this pawn structure so that they can infiltrate in and maybe like destabilize the king's position, maybe. Um, but anyways, f5 is played. Again, I would probably just play c5 here. This idea of c5, like this pawn break, has always been present. I would played it like many moves ago to try to make something happen, but h4, maybe they're afraid of white's attack, incoming attack, right? Maybe black was like being a bit like cautious and they played f5, and f5 also opens up any potential future lines for their queen to come out. So okay, I can understand this move as making more space, um, but I think a counterattack would be very effective as well. Um, so anyways, bishop h3. Um, bishop h3. I don't really get it. I guess white wanted to castle. I guess the whole point of bishop h3 was to castle, because I don't really see any other point. You're not attacking anything, so I guess the whole point was just to castle. And then like, but I, castling um, kind of just weakens the attack because this rook on this file is kind of if these pawns start like getting traded off and the pawn structure is like destabilized, a rook infiltration is very likely on this file, but if you castle, it's not as likely because now black rook the what am I saying? Black's rook controls the f file. Um, but anyways, castling, I can understand. You wanna bring the rooks to the center. So uh, the white's plan to castle is perfectly valid here. Um, but keep in mind, black always has this idea of c5, so it's something to keep in mind um, when you play this. And let's see. Oh, black plays c5. Wow. So okay, finally black played c5. Um, the fact that he even spotted c5 at all kind of shows some like high level thinking. Makes me want to say like high rated, but of course he missed like c5 for many moves. So I don't really know like how high rated I would put this at. Um, but c5 is a high level move to create this pawn break. Um, I think it's very effective. And the idea, as I mentioned before, is that white probably should not take because the d pawn would become like an absolute monster, and, like tear through the entire position. Um, as I mentioned before, I'm thinking like knight a4 is probably like the best move. I don't even know if you want to like move your knight back, like maybe like reroute it. This looks a bit dubious, but maybe this is playable. I was honestly also thinking like knight b1, and then contest contest the c5 with your own pawns, but I don't know. Um, the knight has to move somewhere. White probably should not take this, but we'll see what they do. Oh, white took it. What? Did white not think this through? I don't think white thought this through. Because I think taking is definitely a huge mistake there. Um, and now black has a clear line like line of attack, right? Like a clear plan of what they're gonna do. and they're just gonna push the d pawn down all the way down. And white has to think of a way to defend this. But anyways, let's see what black does. d4. Um, at this point, I think like white is probably just straight up losing. I don't know what white can do to re really like salvage this. I mean, d3 is incoming. It looks like a complete disaster. I mean, even if the knight moves back, I mean, like this looks like an absolute disaster. Um, it's just the king is just like in a bad spot. Lost its castling rights. You have all this pass pawn all the way on d2. I mean, this is probably the best scenario for white at this point. Um, because if you play something like this, you just get hit with this, you're done. It's done for. But if you move the knight here, I mean, there's still this, and obviously you can't take. The reason why the d pawn is so monstrous, is so devastating, is because white can't actually take this. If they take, kaboom, checkmate. So um, white literally cannot take it. It's invincible, basically. Um, and this is why white probably should have moved the knight away instead of taking and allowing this. But anyways, let's just see what happens in the game. Castles, okay. So that just loses to d3 though, doesn't it? This looks absolutely like devastating. Okay, and, okay, you're down an entire piece. Okay, so white just loses then because they're down a piece. Okay, so this is a power of like this center pawn with no blocker, right? With no like pawn. Uh, White doesn't have a center pawn. Like white doesn't have a d pawn, and black has a d pawn, and so that means black can just like push their d pawn all the way through. Um, and white doesn't have the necessary pieces to block it. Usually you would have some piece like a bishop or something to block this, but in this case, white is just too slow. It can't really do anything. Black just simply just has to keep pushing the pawn and they just win. I mean, white kind of just messed up. This was the mistake, just taking. Oh, just taking. This was the start of white's downfall. But anyways, takes. Now black is up a piece. They should easily win this. Just trade off everything. Okay. I don't necessarily agree with this, but just like queen d2, just trade off everything. Like this, like this, like this, like this. Knight here, 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 and we're completely fine. Like there's nothing white can do to win this. You completely stabilize the position. Um, Now get the rooks out and trade off the rooks. And now just simplify into an endgame, and black should win this very easily. But queen b6 is played. Queen blocks. Okay, now I would just play here and try to take advantage of this pin. So maybe this was actually a good move. Queen b6. Because you can take advantage of this pin. Maybe. Ooh, this is actually very good. Yeah, wow. Black is just completely winning. This is actually kind of insane. And knight c6. Yeah, wow. I think white really can't do anything to stop this. Um, Queen b6. Wow, very 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 impressive. Very well spotted. Um, okay, they didn't play. Black didn't play rook d8. What is this? They just played. If they played rook d8, they would be completely winning. But okay, this is still completely winning. I think. Even though now black gave white the tempo to take control of this file. Um, I guess I guess there's like bishop d7 or something just blocking the file. Still very black shouldn't have done that. Now white has a bit of counterplay, but I think black can still handle this because they have a lot of pieces to block. Um, but anyways, let's see what happens. Rook fd1, okay, very sensible. Bishop d7, okay, also very sensible. And f4, that doesn't do anything. You have to start making stuff happen. Like, okay, the only play you have left with is with the rooks. Your pawns cannot do anything to break through. Like you have no pawn breaks or anything like that. So this f4 move doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe they were afraid of like f4. Maybe they were afraid like oh f4 could be like a devastating move or something. But white has to go for some counterplay here and hope that black messes up like very badly. Um, but f4 is just not the move. This is not how you create counterplay. Um, honestly, I don't even know how white would create some counterplay here. I guess rook ac1 with the idea of like going. Mm, I don't really know actually. White doesn't really have a lot of play actually. Um, but white's only chance of winning is with the rooks. Um, once the rooks get traded off, white has no chance of winning. Okay, anyways, bishop d7, f4, knight a6. Okay, solid. Getting the other rooks out, getting the other rook out into the game. b4. Okay, preventing knight b4. Bishop c6. Okay, so the rook d7 is not possible because the bishop is still controlling that square. And now I guess they're preparing this or something, like bishop d5. That's the plan, I guess. Bishop f1, they're attacking here. Bishop d5. Wait, just takes. Just takes. Whoa. Wait, is this drawn? This okay, I don't maybe my analysis is wrong, but this looks drawn to me. Okay, the reason is the black's bishop cannot take here because of rook d7 and something like rook fd8, check here, check here, check, and this is game over. This is game over. So black cannot take. Wow, this bishop f1 move is actually really strong. Um, so maybe maybe bishop c6 was not the move. Um, hmm, it's kind of tricky. Kind of tricky how to play this then. Bishop c6, bishop f1. Yeah, but yo, they could have just taken here. They played a3, thinking that bishop takes a2 was a threat, but in reality it wasn't because the the rook essentially has a pin on this bishop. It cannot move, or else rook d7 is incoming. That's devastating for black. Um, so okay, that kind of indicates maybe um, a lower level of thinking by white, that they didn't realize that black's bishop actually cannot move um, from the file. Hmm. Because if takes rook here, oh rook here. Okay, but here, now here, and white has a draw, right? Because if here. Okay, I don't really have time. I don't really want to drag the video too long with some like sideline, like analysis of some sideline, but I think this is drawn. But a3 and after a3 is not drawn because yeah, okay, knight c7. Now um, you can't. It is not. Bishop takes b5 is not a threat anymore. Bishop c4. I would have just gone like here, tried to get some rook infiltration. Um, and maybe this could actually work, because if black plays a mana move like here, suddenly here is very, very strong. And this is the same thing, like this bishop is just like pinned down. You can't take this, or else rook d7 is incoming. Whoops. So anyways, they go bishop c4. I guess they're trying to like break through here by taking this bishop, but I think it's just too slow now. Uh, yeah, rook a d8, that's a good move. Now you're contesting this um, what is it, file here. And notice how if white played rook ac1 here, now this wouldn't be possible because of takes. So this rook a to c1, like a rook ac1, is actually a very strong move. But anyways, bishop c4, I think it's just a mistake. This is just too slow. Like the idea of bishop c4 and then bishop takes d5 is just too slow. Black plays the right move, a4, knight a8. Not sure I agree with that one, but that's definitely a move, I guess. At this point, like black really cannot mess this up per se because like um, now the position is kind of rather closed down. Like these files are kind of, I mean, they're like semi-closed. What is the term? But anyways, the thing is like none of the files are fully open, so black should have an easy time. They can control. Okay, I think I see the idea of okay. I see that idea of knight a8. Now, the idea of knight a8 is that black is planning to take on c4. Now, notice that if black takes on c4 now, they'll just run into this, and this is a draw. This is a drawn position. But now that if they play knight a8, now this is available because rook takes d8 doesn't blow up the knight as well. So I can that's actually kind of a kind of higher level thinking, I guess, from black to play knight a8. That's kind of like a awareness of the position, I guess, and it shows that they have a plan at least. So now what does white do? White plays g4. It doesn't really look like white has a plan anymore. Just like they're just pushing pawns at this point. Um, there's no threat of a pawn break. White is just too slow. They can't do anything here. So anyways, bishop takes c4, c. Okay, black goes on with that plan. Bishop takes c4, rook d7, trade, rook c1, rook c8 here, and then pin. Okay, awesome, awesome. Um, Black knows that this rook c1 like pin. Um, if 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 black were to like do kind of like this, even this would be fine, but um, you can just give a check here, and this would be fine. But black does not want to repeat moves here by doing this. Um, I guess that was just like white's like only trick to try to go rook d1 here, but rook c1 just shuts it down. A takes b5. White really cannot do anything here, so I think I'm just gonna like fast forward this game. Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Takes. Knight comes in, g5, takes, and there's a winning endgame for black. And let's see how they convert it. Um, Black doesn't really seem to know this endgame. Like usually, what you would do is set up something called a tunnel. Oh, at least I call it the tunnel, but I don't really know like if there's an official term for it. But usually, you would set up this queen c5 move, and the idea of this is that you want to force white to go through the tunnel. And white, you can force that because white always has to try to stay connected to black's king, or else they're gonna lose. So something like this, and then like king here, king here, king here, here, and then you can force it through like this. And now no matter where the king moves, like let's say here, you can take this and win. So let's see what happens in the game. So I don't think black actually knows this, but eventually I guess. Okay, yeah. So now it's separated, right? He can't continue. If he continues trying to connect kings, then checkmate by explosion. So, and yeah, once the kings are separated, you can just go queen check. Okay. Um, and I think white just resigned here. Um, so anyways, I think the video is going way too long now, so I'm just gonna make a quick guess. Um,
Oof.
white, they honestly seem like very high level players. Black seem to be playing really well. So I would say white 1900, black 2100. Like a 19 white 1900 versus black 2100. Whoa, black played very well for 1800. Wait, that's actually kind of crazy. And white, okay, 1900. I guess white 1900. That's actually pretty good, right? Yeah, 1896. That's pretty much 1900. But wow, black played really well for 1800. Um, I did not expect that, but 1844. I mean, they completely wrecked white. Um, maybe I should have known they did because they didn't go c4, c5 immediately. I feel like a lot of, I feel like if you were higher rated, you would go c5 here, or maybe not. But I feel like it was a very strong idea. I mean, eventually they spotted it, which is very high level. Um, but yeah, I honestly thought that black was higher rated because of how well they were playing. But anyways, I think that's gonna be it for today's video. Um, if you enjoyed Guess the Elo, maybe I'll make like a second part to this. Like I'll make this like a continuous thing. But um, for now, this is gonna be the first episode. Um, if this is not so good, I won't really continue this. But anyways, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next video.